Monday rolls around. Numbers come in today. Iron Lung's the #1 movie in America! The #1 two-time champion! We're back, baby! Nothing better than a comeback!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Custom Lobby. I'm your host, JT, and with me, as per usual, is Justin and Tyler. Today's episode is going to be a fun one, another fun one, guys. We're talking about another video game movie, this one for Iron Lung. Just for context, we are going to be kind of delving into a little bit of the spoilers for this film. Justin is our resident Iron Lung fan. He's played the games and he knows a lot more about it than me and Tyler, who've basically only seen the movie. But it's a R-rated horror movie. The description for Iron Lung reads, in a post-apocalyptic future, after the Quiet Rapture event, a convict explores a blood ocean on a desolate moon using a submarine called the Iron Lung to search for missing stars/planets. Let's start with our overall thoughts on the movie so far. Do we all like it, gentlemen? Justin, as someone who's played the game, give us a brief, your brief thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the movie. It's definitely really different from the game. When you're adapting something that's like a horror-esque, filled with, not even really filled with jump scares. It's mostly just like a tension builder with like a big jump scare at the end. It's a very small indie game. You can finish it in like an hour and a half. Like, it's not long.
Oh,
And,
wow, that's even shorter than I thought.
Yeah, the movie is you could argue the movie is longer than the game if you know what you're doing.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's one of those games that's it's a cult classic kind of thing. But I actually haven't even played the game. I should have prefaced that. I've not played. I've only watched Markiplier play it through.
You've watched Markiplier. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love when indie games, get a lot of attention, and it's cool that I can't believe I forgot to mention it. The movie, it's obviously based on a video game, but the person behind it, or a huge proponent for it, is Markiplier, very famous YouTuber, gaming content creator. Tyler, as someone who doesn't really know much about Iron Lung, kind of like me, how did you feel about the movie?
So it was funny because you guys were like, "Hey, you guys want to go see this? It has Markiplier," and I was like, "He's doing a movie?" Like, I had no idea. I just
Yeah.
I just been in my own world, and you told me he's adapting this game into this film, and it's supposedly really good, and I was like, I didn't even know he did film. I didn't even know he acted. Like, I came into this super blind.
Yeah, that's
and I
actually
appreciated
interesting.
it.
That's interesting you didn't
Yeah.
know, because he was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
I didn't see the Five Nights at Freddy's
It had to have been the second one, because I saw the first one and I didn't see
Or
it.
not the movie. There's what is it? That TV series that has 180 episodes from 2014. I don't even know.
Oh,
and then
wow.
Five Nights at Freddy's, the 2024 movie. He's the pizza guy.
Oh yeah, so the second one probably. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but that's cool. That's awesome.
It says first Nights at Freddy's.
I hadn't seen it.
I haven't
First
seen it
Nights at
either,
Freddy's.
but I
That's
assume that's the first one.
Yeah, no, but Tyler, kind of like you, I didn't really know he was trying to get into acting until I kind of heard about Iron Lung.
Yeah. He has 57 other credits of small minor things. Most of it's YouTuber related projects. They credit everything on IMDb, but this is his first big, he directed this, he edited it.
Actually,
he did the writing.
It says he didn't direct this one, but he was like a producer. Or
producer. That's what it is. Yeah, he was the writer. The story is originally his. Producer, not director. That was my bad. And then he also stars in it as well. He is the main.
He's the main character, and
he's the dude.
No, but yeah, Tyler, you did so as someone who didn't really, you went into it blind, kind of like me. What were your initial impressions?
It very much, it felt like a game. Like, the way the story progressed, I could totally see how that's how it would happen in a video game. Just the way you're learning the information, or the way that someone on the intercom is just kind of info dumping, because how else is the person gonna know the information? Just the way he was figuring things out, and then you kind of watch him do it, and
it was like a live action escape room with a story.
It was
kind of cool.
Exactly, if I was watching someone play the game, that's exactly how I would imagine watching them play it. If they were like living that game out or something.
Yeah,
It was pretty interesting.
when you say something like how it kind of feels or progresses like a video game, some could take it as a negative thing. But I am inclined to agree with you that I think that's one of the movie's strengths is that it feels very video game-ish and not in a bad connotation
Well, I guess
whatsoever.
that's also like I don't know, it's a misnomer to say that because it doesn't really like for somebody who doesn't know anything about video games at all, which first of all, why are you here listening to this podcast? Second,
Yeah.
if you go into this movie, it's not like, like he gets a notification like, da-da, you've completed chapter 1. It's not like that. But like the way that it progresses is like he completes something, like something maybe goes wrong with the sub very early in the movie. There's a fire that starts with like an electrical issue, which is something that can happen in the game. And he like they kind of like Chekhov's gun, the fire extinguisher, right at the beginning, and that's the opportunity that he uses it. It actually gets used later for something else entirely, but it's one of those things like every major thing that happened while he was on the sub felt like a checkpoint. Like once he got the fire out, that's like, oh, like he progressed that much, and now he's learned a little bit of where he's at, and the viewer is also like, okay, like obviously this submarine's like jank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
like
the way that the movie
learning
progressed
things
made
as
it feel like
he
it was he was like hitting milestones like you would in a game, but it's not like it's not directly telling the viewer like, ta-da, you leveled up kind of thing. So that's like that's something to be like super, like assuming you don't even know what we mean when we say that, that's what we mean.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
and like there's times where he'd be faced with an issue and then he'd fix it and then he would like learn something.
Yeah,
Like,
which is like how you would
exactly
be
how
if
he
you
played
were
a game.
playing a video game. You'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
like it clicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was searching for stuff. He was problem solving. All
It feels
that.
natural. Feels natural.
It does. Which was one of the strongest parts about the game in my opinion. But I'm kind of like along a similar boat as pun intended as Tyler because I went into this not really knowing a whole lot. I knew Markiplier was involved. I knew it was based off of a video game, but I kind of avoided trailers on purpose, which isn't really something I do. I've talked to Justin about this, but I thought since we were going to talk about this on the pod, I kind of want to go in just not knowing anything other than it's a horror movie and it has Markiplier in it and it's based off of a game. And I'm happy that I did that because it was a nice surprise. I did know it was a little bit on the low budget side, but that honestly didn't affect anything. Like the movie looked great. It was well acted, shot beautifully.
Sound design was awesome.
It was
Like the
great.
sound
Yeah.
engineering, like it was the music. It did not feel like a low budget film for sure.
It really didn't. It was very foreboding, which I appreciate.
This is not a dig on Markiplier, but honestly, like there's some parts where his acting's a little cringe and the dialogue's a little cringe. But like when you're coming up with a completely original story for a game that doesn't really have a story, I can see you like, especially, I know he writes scripts for his, the stuff that he works on, but I don't know, translating that to film can be a little tough. And like if I had to give a couple
different beast.
If I had to give some critiques, it would definitely be like some of the dialogue, but it doesn't take away from the movie at all. Like there's somewhere it would just like totally take me out. Mm-hmm. And part of that might just be the preconceived notion that you're going in, this is an indie film. So like you kind of let it slide a little bit. If this was like a big production, I think it would have been more scrutinized for that, but no, it was good. It was good.
I'm totally with you.
And it wasn't even that bad. It was still good.
Yeah, and I would even give Markiplier more of benefit of the doubt actually, because I thought he actually did better. He did better than I expected. So I'm actually more inclined. I'm more inclined to blame the writing.
Same thing too. Yeah. There was a moment where I was like, "Oh yeah, this is Markiplier." Like I was so invested that I had like totally dissociated the fact that this was just a YouTuber guy that I had known.
When we were deep diving the movie, unintended.
Yeah.
After we watched it, the fact that we were referring to him as Simon and not Markiplier, just like that means we were immersed into the dialogue.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I agree.
Main character's name is Simon, by the way.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I didn't know much about it, but now I'm I'm interested in possibly, trying to delve into the game. I mean, we've talked about how we have a lot of games to play. We all have, lives obviously outside of the podcast, so that, sometimes it's tough to make time, but I'd want to at least try to watch his playthrough at least. But Tyler, you told me earlier that you started it. How Does it seem similar to the game, or how different are they just
So
from? Yeah.
it's so kind of the one thing that's different is like all the text-based information. Like you kind of discover the stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know you kind of had an issue with the movie was like they didn't explain anything, like there wasn't anything that it told you. But, like the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
kind of told you some things like straight up. Like you can read notes on the ship that someone left.
Yeah.
It'll tell you something like, "Oh, this is the fourth blood ocean," and someone left him a note, and he's like, "Oh, how many have there been?" Whereas like in the movie, it's like you, the viewer, and the character are trying to figure out, well, have there been other people? How many are there? Like it's not explicitly told to you.
Hmm.
And so you kind of get more of that psychological tension in the film, I think, whereas the game kind of feels more of like what's out in the ocean, where honestly, throughout the movie, like what's out in the ocean was a big thing, but like what's going on with the character Simon was what was more invested for me. Like that's really what I was paying attention to.
Yeah. So you know the terminal, like the terminal's like a big.
Mhm.
It's actually a big plot point in the movie, but in the game, the computer that's in the back of the sub is literally just for reading lore. Like you type in commands into the console, and it tells you things. And
Mm.
that it's
Mhm.
like in a video game format, like that's like oh cool, like terminal entries in like a Bethesda game, for example, or like books in the Elder Scrolls universe. But like you can't just in a movie format, you can't just like throw text on a screen in the middle of a movie. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
rarely can you pull that off, you know. And so, you know, the direction he went in the movie was more like psychological
Yeah.
tension. Like you learn about the lore as Simon's kind of learning about it, and a lot of questions they end up unanswered because you know in the game, like when you're reading through the lore entries, a lot of the people that came before Simon also didn't figure stuff out. So like you're kind of on board for the mystery, and the entire point of both the game and the movie is like you're kind of in the middle of the story. We weren't there at the beginning of the story, and we're not gonna know what happens in the end. It's kind of just like they took a paragraph excerpt and then like, that's the story they told us, which I know some people don't appreciate that or like that, and that's like totally your prerogative,
Mhm.
but it's definitely like more common in video game format. And I think when you're playing it as a video game, it can be different because you can go back and play the game, theorize on stuff. Whereas like in a movie, it's like a deliberate choice from the filmmaker to do that. So then it just leaves a different feeling, and you know, something unfinished in film can be a detriment to the film. I know it's something we talked about last night.
Yeah.
But
No,
something left vague and unintentioned in a video game can actually be a positive in some aspects because then it leaves, you know, speculation from. It does it both ways, but I think it's different for a video game. That's what I'm saying.
I can
Mhm.
totally see what you're saying about how it could leave a different impression on you in a video game, because there's been so many movies that leave things ambiguous on purpose, or they leave it up to interpretation. And then, but I was talking to Justin about this as soon as we left the theater, but sometimes when it comes for me in movies, sometimes it blurs the line between, oh, it's kind of creative or it's lazy. It's either creative or it's lazy
Yeah.
in my eyes. It's not black or white, obviously, right? I For the most part, I really enjoyed this movie, but there were times where so much stuff is left open to your imagination or your thoughts. And there were some points in the movie, not to go into any specifics, but I was like, oh, I kind of wish maybe they gave us like a straightforward answer. But and that's a personal thing because I like open to interpretation
Yeah.
stuff. But there's also times where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I really hope it's not like they just couldn't answer it or they couldn't
Yeah.
talk about it more.
What
Yeah,
I will
but
say
this
is the
movie does a
stuff
good
they
job.
leave open, aside from the ending, the stuff that they leave open, that's like not from the original game. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that's he kind of can't answer it because then it might canonize
Yeah.
something that isn't true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
But he did a good job because
Yeah.
from what Tyler just shared and what Justin has talked about in the game. I mean, it's pretty true for the most part to the game, or at least the essence and the end of the game. So
Mhm.
but just to kind of share with everyone some other people's thoughts on the game, I kind of have some of the scores on Letterboxd. They usually rate movies and stuff out of 5. On Letterboxd, it is rated a 3.2 out of 5, which I think is a pretty good score. IMDb has it at a 6.7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes has an 89% audience score. However, critics have it at 44%. There's only 16 reviews though,
What?
so yeah, it's there's only 16 reviews. It's the average of the 16 reviews, if I'm not mistaken. But 44%. Justin, we talked about it earlier today, but we were talking about how IGN, they rated the movie low and they actually didn't post it on their social media. And I thought, I mean, that's
They
not
rated it lower than the average. It was like a 4 out of 10.
yeah. So, I mean, that's not to like single out IGN, but it's just funny because sometimes outlets they will hide sometimes their review scores for whatever reason, or they just don't get around to posting it. But then they cover the movie's success. They talked about how it's
Yeah.
making a ton of money despite the budget being only like $3 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
part of that is the Markiplier bias. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that like the success of this movie isn't solely due to Markiplier. Like, no digging on the original creator of Iron Lung, but
Correct.
like I said,
Correct.
if you aren't into this kind of culture of video gaming, like the specific Lovecraftian tales, SCP universe-esque stuff, then like this isn't gonna appeal to you. And so a lot of it is because it's just a Markiplier movie. And that's okay. Like, that's still a good thing. And it's, a lot of people came out for Markiplier and not so much the source material. I wouldn't say you two are in that camp, but I think definitely because it was a YouTuber, it piqued your interest a little bit.
Increased the appeal. Yeah, I was like, oh, he's doing this, and it's supposedly as well. Like, that's cool.
It definitely helped the movie in good ways and bad ways. And I think that a lot of these reviewers are looking at it from the raw film perspective, which is, I don't want to say it's fair, but definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and like their perspective is
Oh, you're talking about critics, right?
Yeah, critics.
Yeah, and even then, it's pretty harsh because with what they were working with and I mean, $3 million is not a lot. I've seen like Blumhouse movies where they're lower budget and they've maybe are like $10 million or so, and they look significantly worse than this movie, which I believe is like self-funded. Like they did a lot with what they had. So I mean, all the props to them, and the acting was great too. Like there would be characters that are just talking through a speaker and you never really see them going through anything really. You just hear them, and I just felt all the emotion through just audio.
Yeah.
Also tough to do, to not have facial expressions from an actor.
Exactly.
And still, I honestly felt engrossed by the dialogue, even though there were some parts that were cringe.
Me too. I felt like I was in the sub with him the whole time.
Yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up, Tyler, because this movie, it does the thing where the setting is mostly in one spot, and I give this movie a lot of credit for keeping us engaged with it, using crazy good cinematography, decent writing, and making us like kind of like feel
the camera angles,
the camera work in this movie was the best technical part of the movie,
good,
in my opinion.
Because he's in like two spots the whole time, but like
the front of the sub or the back of the sub or under it. There's some sections where he goes in the little maintenance hatch.
Yeah.
But like 3 sections of the sub
work was so well. Yeah.
And there's like a million camera angles.
In the same place.
It's so good.
Great.
No, it's awesome. And I love movies that they're not necessarily, well, they're literally confined to some place, right? But when you look at it looking at it from a different perspective, it's just impressive what they're able to achieve. I liken this movie to films like Alien and Jaws, where Jaws in the sense that there's like a creature that you don't always see all the time, right? So that's kind of where I feel the Jaws aspect, but then it has the creepy eeriness of, say, Alien, sci-fi. It's gritty, it's dark, and something sinister is like lurking around. And I really enjoyed the movie. You mentioned it earlier, Justin. It's cosmic horror-esque, and I saw that. But when you were kind of explaining it to me more, I saw that even more. What did you think of the cosmic horror elements of this movie?
Directed towards me or just in general?
Oh, just well, for you about this movie and the game. Like how did you What'd you think of the interpretation of cosmic horror for both iterations?
Yeah,
For both mediums?
to preface, like, I'm really into this whole, like, the Lovecraftian tales, SCP universe kind of thing.
Yeah,
I made a
me
note
too.
on that in our doc. I watch a
Yeah,
lot of
me too.
the Volgun on YouTube. Like, I've watched every one of his videos. I'm super into SCP stuff, and this movie kind of takes a little bit of inspiration, and the game actually takes a little bit of inspiration from SCP-354, the Blood Lake, which is basically like a containment site of a pool of blood that has a bunch of hostile monsters in it. And so, like, you can kind of definitely heavily inspired by that. It's never been stated directly, but it's kind of uncanny, the resemblance between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in the game, it's not really like that. You're mostly just like going around taking pictures of things, trying to just get data for whoever needs the data from you. It's very basic compared to the movie. Whereas in the movie, they definitely went more into like the supernatural elements of the monster. The monster actually gets more presence in the movie than it does in the game. In the game, spoilers, the only time you see the monster is at the very end of the game when it jump scares you and destroys your submarine. That's it.
Wow.
And so, like, they definitely built on it even more in the movie.
Which was kind of cool because you're like, oh, we found a big skeleton thing, and then, oh, now it's moved. Oh, what the hell is that thing? Like, it kind of kept, like, just when you kind of got closer to it, it would kind of escape. And it kind of kept you wondering, like, what was happening, what was going on, and, like, and then, Simon's, like, freaking out because he's like, what the hell is down here? Like, why do you keep putting me down here? Like, why is this so important? And, like, it never really gets those answers, and it just adds to the tension of, like, you don't really know what's happening. But
I'm so glad you segued into that because I actually really wanted to talk about that. Some speculation online. This is one of those things where the game and the movie not telling you directly kind of benefits it. Because, when he takes a picture of the skeleton the first time, and then they're like, wait, there's a skeleton down there? And then it moves like when he gets sent back down to the same spot, the skeleton was gone. Yeah. Well, I didn't think about this when I was watching it, but he takes a picture of the skeleton the first time, and then he gets, brought to the surface. They tell him, like, you need to go back down there and get a sample. And they attach, like, a hook thing to the front of the submarine for him to go get a bone sample. He goes back down and then takes another picture in the same location, and it's not there. Well, they just finished telling him that the camera that he's using on the submarine is an X-ray camera, uses like a high dosage of radiation because the ocean's made of blood, right? So they need an X-ray camera to be able to take that picture. So one thing I didn't actually think of when I was watching it, but in hindsight, like, that actually makes a lot of sense, is that actually was the monster. It wasn't a skeleton. And you see it as a skeleton because it's an X-ray photo.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, shoot. Because Ava, the girl on the speaker, kind of brushes it off saying, like, oh, yeah, well, the terrain changes when they're down there. But, like, she's already known throughout this movie to be like an unreliable narrator because they literally send you down there with a map and the map doesn't change. So, like, if the terrain changes, then why is the map still the same? So, like,
that's because the map is the terrain. So, like, how does it change?
The terrain isn't changing. It's kind of leaving it. It's leaving you the breadcrumbs, but doesn't tell you. But, like, highly likely that the skeletons that he takes picture of down there are not actually dead. They're still alive, and it's just an X-ray picture of it. And that adds even more, like, horror to the thing, because it's like they think it's a skeleton, and it adds even more to that scene when he rams into it, because that means he didn't ram into a dead thing. He rammed into a live thing.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory. It's an interesting theory. I'm curious, though, because was that image the same as the one he took later in the movie? Because, like, I don't fully recall.
They are, they are very similar, uncannily similar.
Yeah.
And I will say, in the game, there is an actual skeletal structure, but it more resembles like a mammoth or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's got tusks.
A different being. Yeah.
Yeah. And in this movie, it looked way more like a dead fish. Which,
it did.
Again, is like, that's a choice that Mark had to make when writing, and so maybe he was trying to tell us that, or maybe not. So you never know. That's one of those things that's up to interpretation. But that's something I really like about this is even though we aren't told directly, I think it adds to it either way.
It does, and it makes for good conversation. It keeps people talking about the movie afterwards, which I can fully appreciate. One thing that kind of really impressed me about this movie was the creature itself. We were talking about the creature a little bit, but I wanted to kind of go into how we talked about this after the theater, but you were saying in the game it looks straight up more like a just a big anglerfish, but here they kind of give it some ferocious teeth. It just looks a little bit more creepy, right? I mean, how would you describe it?
It looks like an anglerfish, but like definitely creepy. Yeah, that's
creepier.
That's what an anglerfish looks like.
But in the game, it looked not that menacing, like from the images that you showed me, at least.
Well, yeah, it's a 2D image on a plane, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked significantly different, or at least better looking. Like I don't know.
In the movie, yeah, it does.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a cosmic horror being, I would hope it looked a little bit different, you know. And I think they did. I think
well, when I'm saying the picture I showed you of the game, this is one of those things. Like if you go watch the scene where it plays, I highly recommend you should just go like look at the ending of the game, because what happens is you turn around, you're going to press the button to take another picture, and as soon as you hit the button, like the face like pops up, and then like the game cuts to black. Like you only see it for a second. You don't really get the chance to like look at it, right? So like in that moment, it's just like a cheap little gimmicky like jump scare.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for the fish not to look like that crazy. The only reason people know what it looks like is because somebody took a screenshot of it, and then like, when you look at it, it looks weird.
I thought it looked more in the movie. I thought it looked more kind of like a blobfish, not so much like an anglerfish.
I don't know my fish's team, sorry, but I thought it looked creepy. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
That might just be because of the X-ray, like the way you're looking at it.
Yeah.
No, but even in the poster though, like how it shows like the teeth, like I think that's really, I think focusing the movie around the creature and what's underneath like the water, I think was a really good call, because like you guys said, it's mostly just kind of gathering info in the game seemingly, and then the fish just appears at the end. I like how they kind of focused more on that.
The game is definitely more about the tension of being surrounded by water. It's more of like a thalassophobic, which is like the fear of the ocean kind of experience. Yeah.
I hate that.
Which they kind of is still incorporated into
the fear of deep water.
Yeah, they still incorporated that into the movie, because the water is definitely a threat. Like they have to close the hatch on the glass. Like he can't see through the glass because it's so deep in whatever planet he's on. I think it's called AT4 or AT5. It's actually a moon, but I think that's just like from game lore, not the film lore. Yeah, it's kind of tough, because I will say, that little info dump they gave us right at the beginning of the movie, from our theater experience, they left the lights on, so everybody was yapping.
Yeah.
And people were like, so we didn't really get that beginning movie dump, and I think that would have really helped our experience.
I didn't know if it was still a preview or not. I was like, did the movie start?
Yeah.
And then
that's not a bash on the movie.
So I didn't like take it in all in. Yeah.
Just our movie. The movie theater we went to messed up.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruined the first 10 seconds of the movie.
They sold, because that narration was so awesome. He had such a gravelly voice, and he was clearly talking about how what the world was kind of like. He was giving you just a good hint of it, and then it showed the crawler going into the blood water, and just the angle and everything together worked really good. It made a great first impression, in my opinion. But yeah, no, that sucked that got ruined. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was so unfortunate.
So if there's stuff that we missed from the film, it's because we didn't actually get to see it.
Like I was wondering, like, how do they pull him up and put him back down, and why can't he go back up at some point? And I was like, oh, he's on a chain.
Yeah, in the beginning they show him get lowered into the ocean.
The first scene,
yeah.
We didn't really see that, so
I don't know why. I thought they were like. I thought they were like in a tunnel or something, to be honest. So that's why I was like, they just pull him from wherever. But I guess that makes sense, because they're just dropping him in the ocean.
No, they were in a trench. They were in a trench. It actually, I'm pretty sure it said that at the beginning of the movie. I think I caught that at the start. There is a moment where he does go into a cave. That's after. Okay, this is one thing that I wish was actually said. Like the reason they couldn't bring him back up is actually because the chain got severed. right?
Yeah, I wish they kind of went into that a little more because
I
they
figured
just
that's
said
kinda
they
what it
couldn't bring him
was.
back.
Yeah, they said they couldn't bring him back, and the implication is because the chain got severed when he got, because the monster attacks him, but doesn't fully kill him or
Yeah.
destroy the sub, but the sub is heavily
Yeah.
damaged. He has to restore power to it, and that's kind of where, the speculation is. The chain was severed. They couldn't bring him up even if they wanted to, because Ava does say it that way. She says like even if it was a matter of want, like I can't save you.
Yeah.
She made it pretty clear that, like, they can't. Like, there's
But
a
they didn't say
difference
why.
between, like, we don't care. Yeah, they just didn't say that.
But after that
Yeah.
moment, he does go into a cave. And that's where he actually finds the anomaly, the light anomaly, that starts messing with his psychology.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is actually a thing in the game too. You
Which
can
that was
take
crazy.
a picture of is the anomaly.
That whole scene was like, it was good.
Yeah, he
I
goes on
liked
like a psychological trip.
Sorry,
it's-
which part?
Which to me was so
when he
realistic.
when he sees the light in the cave.
He
Oh,
starts hearing all the
yeah.
voices and things.
Yeah, he starts hearing the voices. That's when he thinks the speaker's still talking to him, but it actually wasn't the whole time. But what's interesting about that is he was still technically moving the sub and doing stuff. Like, he wasn't unconscious, right? He was still doing stuff, because he ends up deep in that cave, and that's where he wakes up again. I guess he passes out sometime after he moves through the cave, wakes up after he takes a picture of that beam of light, which is actually another anomaly, just as I had stated before. And then, like, because the state of the submarine is exactly where he left it, like, when he was going through that psychological experience. So it wasn't like everything that had happened was a hallucination. The only thing that was a hallucination was the person talking to him.
But he marked where he was traveling, and then when he found out it was a hallucination, he never really referred to that map that he was marking on with the black
No, he
pen.
went back through it. Back to where the SM-8 submarine was, which is the original submarine that was destroyed.
He had
That
to
was
draw.
probably the most impressive part, was that he could still keep track of where he was and the coordinates and the bearings and everything. Like, that was kind of crazy.
I thought
Like,
he
how
had
does
to.
he like? He seemed like he was going through a lot, and then
Yeah, the
still
map was
seems to
on the
know where he
ground, and
is
he
how to
actually
get around.
the map was on the ground, and he picks it back up and sticks it behind him after the whole hallucination sequence. That's in the movie.
That looked like the map from before the
the original map, because he ended up outside where that original map was, like at the final coordinate where the light was.
So why did he draw
he was, like,
another
outside
map
the map.
thing?
Because that was when he was in the cave, going through the cave.
Oh,
and then remember, he even
Okay,
says
yeah.
at the end of that, he's like, I just went in a circle, because the cave comes back out where he started.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because he's basically like drawing the map, like creating the map in the cave.
And it makes sense that he has to draw the
Yeah.
cave, because remember, the scans that they gave him, like the two-dimensional colored scan that they gave him, is of the trench, which means that's what was visible.
Yeah.
Of course, the scan that they gave him wouldn't have the cave on it, right? So then he had to draw the map of the cave himself. And that's actually part of the game is like there's like secret areas you can go off into, and I assume that's where like the secret achievements are. I haven't played the game, but
yeah,
they're not on the map, which was a cool nod. It was a cool nod to the secret stuff,
Yeah, dude, talk about some of the stuff you might have recognized from the game, like some, I don't know if you'd call them Easter eggs because they're just straight up from the game, but like, were there anything that like kind of stuck out to you? I know we talked about the terminal a little bit, but it functioned differently. So
yeah, it functions differently. It's way more involved in the narrative in the movie, because it's Simon doesn't have access to it. He doesn't have administrative privileges for it. And in order to extract the black box data from the other submarine that he finds down there, he has to like get access to it, which is it's part of like the climax of the movie. Another thing, the Anomaly 7, which is just that light thing. In the game, it was literally just like a cool little thing you could find. It didn't really have any impact on the game at all. And he actually, in this, they made it like part of the monster, like its psychological abilities of like mind control and hallucinating and remembering the voices of the dead, which like the whole point of this movie, like the Quiet Rapture is basically like an event where planets and stars are vanishing across the universe and nobody knows why. And part of the reason they're doing this mission is one for survival, because in the movie they say there's a moment where a little bit of the dialogue goes into maybe they can convert the blood ocean stuff into food for sustenance. It was like towards the end of the movie on one of the terminal
very
entries.
end. Yeah.
But in the game,
it says like they're scouring for resources because they're basically at like the end of like the universe life. Like there's just not anything else left. And so like that's why they're down there. Is they're like, why is there blood? Like
there's no more habitable planets.
Living, like, yeah.
So they're trying to look for something that can like give them
like straight up at the beginning.
Exactly. The game does tell you that at the beginning, which again we might have missed that at the beginning of the movie, but that is why he's down there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And like that, the whole quiet rapture thing and this monster that's psychological powers thing is they both relate to each other in the sense that like the monster itself is telling Mark about humanity has no chance. And like part of him being down there is to face his past and the crimes he may or may not have committed, right? In the game, it's very clear that you are a criminal, but in this movie, they kind of explored it as like, maybe he wasn't, maybe he was just involved with some bad people that did a bad thing and he's the one catching the fall for it. But that's like that's still part of the experience is like, the universe is ending. Is it really even worth it? And then Simon kind of has this realization towards the end of the movie. He's like, I don't want to do what they're telling me to do. I just want to survive. But then at the end, he kind of capitulates and helps them, even to his own detriment, to his death, to spoil the end of the movie. He does inevitably die, but he gets the black box data and he sends it back to the surface and we don't know what happens to it, but you could interpret that it's like his last dying attempt to give hope to humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw it as like at one point he was between, do I listen to the voices from like the monster or the blood, which is like, don't give up the black box, or like, do I listen to the person who like he could actually kind of relate to a little bit? Like there seemed to be a point where like when they exchanged their names, like that was when like Ava really felt like another human being to him for a little bit. And like then, at one point Ava was like, no, do it, like go get it, and the monster's like telling him not to do it, and then he's like, you know what, screw this monster thing that's trying to kill me. Like at least like I don't really like this other chick, but like at least she's a human being and at least I can relate to her at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And so like he definitely like made the conscious decision of like how it was going to play out, but he really didn't even have to. He knew he was going to die no matter what, but he still chose to do
He was
it.
trying to cope with it, and he's like, maybe there's a chance, maybe a lot of the movie is him, he has this hope that maybe he's like, if I do one more thing for them, maybe they'll let me go. If I do one more thing for them, maybe they'll let me go. And then when he finally comes to terms with dying is when he finally agrees to help them with one last task, which is like kind of poetic at the end.
And I almost wonder if it was like, because the whole movie he's like, I didn't do anything wrong, like I didn't mean for anyone to die and whatnot, and then like it almost was like he was trying to make up for it. Like maybe he still felt guilty, but not like it was intentional.
Yeah.
And then like, well, at least I can do this to try to make up for that. And so that was kind of how I saw it when he was like.
Me too. I saw it that way as well.
Yeah, that is a pretty good interpretation of it.
Kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they leave a lot of things open, and that's one of the that's a good pro for a lot of people, because that's a, when you guys mention it like that, I mean, it's better than how I initially took the movie. But to be honest with you, there was so much happening, or so much that like was going on, that I didn't form that. So that's cool. That's
you're still trying to like figure out what just happened.
Yeah, I'm still trying to I'm trying to put all the pieces together, so to speak.
I will say the game straight up tells you, well, like when you die to the monster, it straight up tells you that they couldn't recover your submarine or the data, and all hope is lost. So like that is actually different from the game.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Respect to Markiplier and all of them for wanting to tell the story of an indie developer, and I'm glad that the indie developer allowed them to do this, because this does sound like this is a really awesome premise. But do I sound greedy for saying that I wish we get to see. I know this because it's based off of the game, right? But there's some games where like they have this awesome like lore and history, but then the story of the game itself isn't as interesting as maybe what they could have gone given the lore. So like it was cool seeing the crawler and it's cool following the convict, but like I'm curious about the Quiet Rapture itself. I'm curious about how the cosmic horror came to be. Like there's a lot of things that they could talk about, and I don't know, it would have been cool to see more of that. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
just
Like,
don't think that's like really important to what the message of the game or the
yeah,
movie is.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's like, sure. I mean,
It it seemed more like it just needed to give you enough like background as to why he was there to just kind of get the story going. But like all the other background stuff wasn't like why the story.
Correct.
Like of
Yeah.
course that's why he was there, but that's not why you're watching it. I guess if that makes
yeah.
Yeah,
like
I'm greedy because I find all that background stuff super interesting. Like I'm like, I find all of that fascinating, but that is not what the movie is about. And I'm glad they stuck more toward the game. But imagine if they had like a full dev
Yeah.
team working on a game, and maybe they do a different genre, and but in this world, like I
Yeah.
the possibilities for something like this is endless. So it's crazy that it was developed by one guy.
That's why a lot of people compare it to the SCP universe because, like you said, you know a little bit about it. The SCP universe, there's not really like a story. It's all just like these different like sub classifications of weird anomalies or events, and like it's part of like this overarching universe, but none of them really relate to each other, you know.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
the interesting part of those stories is like the individual events surrounding them, like the specific like hit squads that go out and hunt these anomalies. Like maybe sometimes they don't make it, or sometimes they do, or maybe they seal it. Sometimes maybe it ends the world and a new timeline is created. And like the point isn't really to like end the story. It's to be like, whoa, this is like an excerpt from a data log that is on the internet, and like, does it
Yeah.
exist? Does it not exist? Are we living in an alternate timeline that doesn't? Part of the horror element is like, it's like you're reading something on the internet, and you're like, I don't know if this is real or not, which is kind of a big hot topic right now. With all the AI stuff going on, is the stuff that I'm
Yeah.
seeing even real? The internet's been
Yeah.
ahead of this for like 20, 30 years, and like, this is the story that's kind of being told. Is when you're watching this movie, you kind of also feel like, is a lot of what Simon's going through real?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You have to
I
really
started to
trust the
wonder that
narrator
too.
on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the point. It's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the
I
point
hear
is
you
that-
wanting more. I hear you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying this
'cause
is not the
don't get me
film for
wrong,
that.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's that this is clearly, the story is focused on the convict and everything. Like I totally get that, but man, the world is fascinating. I'm greedy for more. And I don't just do this with Iron Lung. I do this with a bunch of other movies too. I'm like, oh
Everything.
man.
Yeah.
I hate it
yeah.
when a pre-established IP that does have this kind of storytelling doesn't do it. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. So,
Yeah.
but I understand why this doesn't. It was
Yeah.
one indie developer, it was one guy, but
It was
man,
the
imagine-
intention. No, it was the
Yeah.
intention of
Yeah.
the dev for this to be the case. I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
like for example, like if the next Elder Scrolls game comes out and they don't explain every little detail about everything,
Yeah.
like it's gonna piss people
Yeah.
off. That's
No,
what
exactly.
that's what I'm saying.
No, for sure. I totally get you. I'm just talking about in like in movie terms too,
Yeah.
and games too, But I hate that. Like Halo, dude. Like they focus on Master Chief, right? Through the 6 games that are out. But the world is so huge. You can tell other stories in other games or even other mediums that don't focus on Master Chief, but they're so strict. They're like, we gotta follow Master Chief. Everyone wants to know about Master Chief. But you could do other stuff too. Like you could explore other genres, There's so much you could do.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse for Halo. Like it's a it's a AAA game. It's as large, almost as large as like Star Wars and stuff. It's like, oh, what a waste. But anyways, that's a tangent for another time. But the movie, do you guys know how long the movie was? It clocked out.
2
like,
hours
clocked
7
at-
minutes.
It was 2 hours? It didn't
Yeah.
feel like it.
Really?
2 hours 7 minutes.
That does
That's
not feel like 2
a
hours.
common critique from both critics and fans were like, this movie could have maybe shaved off 20 to 30 minutes.
It
And I
could've.
kind of
There
agree with
was-
that, but I don't know where they would cut
there
it.
was a scene
you know?
where I was like, a montage of him just kind of navigating and taking pictures. Like that kind of went on for a little bit.
Well, that's like
they
the
could have
game.
shaved like.
I think they need to keep
Yeah,
that.
but there was some parts where I was like, they could have shortened this down for sure.
I actually would have
Yeah.
preferred if they didn't explore the backstory stuff and maybe like his flashback when he's a kid, because that just adds more questions, and it ends up not mattering.
It was pointless. The kid stuff. The kid just showed up for like one scene, and I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't quite get.
It was
point
trying.
of that. Like,
it was trying to make us feel like more connected to him, I think, but I don't think it landed.
Same. You would have to do more with that. Yeah. You would have to do more with that. Since they didn't do a whole lot with it, they should have just kept it out. Like I like the flashback of him when they were like during the explosion, you know, with the older dude. Like I thought that was kind of cool.
That one only is like 5 seconds, so it doesn't really take away. So yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, no, to me, I was pretty engaged, so I didn't feel that 2 hours, but I can understand wanting to shave off some stuff. If I were to shave off stuff, Tyler, I would kind of agree with you in some of those moments, but I also thought there were so many times where he was so like hesitant to just kind of listen to what he's being instructed with. Like I get the circumstances that he was in. He was under, you know, the cosmic horror effects of the creature and whatnot, but there were so many scenes where he was like just questioning everything, and I don't know, you could have shaved off a little bit of that or some of the hallucinations, I feel like, but I don't know. Some of that stuff ran for a long time. You could at least spread it out a little more, you know, for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, Justin, what parts did you think you could probably shave off?
I didn't like that he spent so much time down in the little duct trying to find the engine restart. Yeah. That actually felt like the longest drawn out portion was when he crawled down there and he went to the wrong side and had to crawl back. Like,
I know
we didn't need that. We just needed him to go down there and restart the engine. To be honest.
Yeah. I think they probably did that.
Is that part of the game at all? Like, is that a thing?
There's moments where you have to fix the sub. But no, that's original. I liked it in the sense of like it added more. It made you feel like he's on a really enclosed submarine in space. Like you thought the room was already small, and now he's in this little duct that's barely crawl. It's barely a crawl space. But he spent too much time down there. He could have just gone down there, shown the light on the thing, and like he tugs on that engine start lever like 7 times, which I think that was long enough for him to be down there, to be honest.
Also, I did like the scene where the blood started going up the that part of the crawler, and then he had to go through the blood. I thought
that actually does happen in the game. Like as you're progressing deep, like further into the game, the hull starts to like take on leaks, and it starts to slowly fill with blood, which adds tension to the game because you're trying to get to the final objective, and the sub is filling up, and it's basically like you as the player are like. That's the moment where you're like, I have to finish this mission even if it costs me my life. And that same feeling happens in the movie. But it's different. It's slightly different.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It did go on for a while, those scenes usually. A lot of the scenes were like extended. Like I feel like maybe if you just chopped off a little bit of like a lot of the parts about this, like a lot of the major exposition heavy, a bunch of the major navigating scenes or some of the major like flashbacks. Like if you just chop down just a little bit of each of those, I think overall it'd be maybe a little bit better, but yeah, I didn't even realize it was 2 hours. That's actually crazy. It didn't feel too long, but I can understand why some people would feel that way. I could just appreciate it, you know. I could appreciate what they were doing. But okay, what are some things that you guys weren't a fan of? Justin, we'll start off with you first, since you've seen Markiplier play the game, right? So what are some things that you we're not the biggest fan of in terms of his
I know the point of adding more characters was to, you know, give the audience a little bit, like put faces to the voice. But when they surfaced him, I didn't like that at all. Cuz like the whole game from start to finish, you're down there. You don't get surfaced. And it adds more credence to the fact that like this is a death sentence for you. Like they have no intention of bringing you back up. And so the fact that they brought him back up kind of took away a little bit from like it made me question like, okay, maybe he didn't do it, you know what I mean? Which the film ends up going more into, maybe he didn't do it, maybe he did. But I don't know, I kind of didn't like them servicing and having that whole face-to-face conversation, but they did that really to explain like how the camera worked. So I guess that's okay. And then also to put a face to the name, but I thought it was kind of a waste of time.
I actually liked that they surfaced because it gave the viewer confirmation that he could get out. Like there
Yeah.
was evidence of like they could pull him up and he could get away if he figured it out somehow, and until eventually they're like, no, we
Yeah.
can't.
That's
So, like,
Mark's creative liberty,
to
which
me,
is okay.
it
But
harder.
Yeah.
if we're talking,
To me, it
I
hit
really
harder
like
because
faithful adaptations, and that was not faithful, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're like to the T, like.
Yeah, Darren is
But,
like that too. You guys have had. I mean, my brother was on I think the last pod when we talked about Dispatch. So he's like that too.
Mm.
But I'm kind of with you, Tyler. Like I'm glad he kind of surfaced a little bit. You hired these names. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with it. Like not necessarily stay on the surface a whole lot, but like I'm trying to figure out who Troy Baker was. Was Troy Baker the guy that
He's the black
replaced her
silhouette.
temporarily?
No,
Yeah, well,
yeah, replaced her
does he ever talk?
temporarily when he left.
Yeah.
When she left to
Yeah.
go take that guy to the infirmary. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, you get a guy like Troy Baker, and then you don't really do a whole lot with him. Like to your point, though, Justin. Like if you maybe lessen the people, then maybe that wouldn't be an issue.
Well, I think him
but...
and Mark are friends. I think he's only there just to help a homie out.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a big Troy Baker guy, so I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, I was kind of hoping maybe they'd show his face or he would talk.
I'm
a little
pretty
bit
sure
more or
they know
something.
each other like name on a name basis, but that
Oh, of course.
that could just be
I
me
would-
talking out of my ass right now. But
No, I wouldn't doubt it. And then I'm looking at the list, the cast on Letterboxd, and it says Valkyrie is in this movie. Like, who does she play? And then Rahul Kali, I believe is his name. He's a actor who's kind of he does game related content. He's a big Warhammer guy. He's going to be in the new PlayStation exclusive called Saros. He's the main guy in that. But he's kind of in the gaming space too. But you have these names, and then I just don't know where they fit into all that. It just seems kind of pointless. To your point, though, Justin. And it says Alana Pierce is in this, former IGN employee, who was also in Dispatch. So they had her in here, but I just, it's kind of wasted. But Tyler, what's one thing that you
One
weren't
thing
like,
I
a
will
fan of?
say. So, I think they could have explained that the camera is radiation without him giving radiation to everyone up there. Because in my eyes, it was like you kind of just feel bad for him and he feels guilty, but then like later in the story, it kind of gets washed over by like his guilt of blowing up the station. And so like
Yeah,
it
he's
was
guilty
kind
for a
of
lot of
just
stuff.
let's just give radiation to these characters, but only one of them has to go to the infirmary when you like literally see her face change. And so to me, it was just added.
no, that her face,
salt
her
on the
face,
wound that
that
didn't
left side
really
of
go anywhere.
that left side of her face was damaged prior to the radiation. That she was like that from the beginning. There's another scene when she first wipes the blood off of it. She only has one working eye from the beginning.
She has like a scratch over her eye,
okay.
and she's like,
That wasn't the radiation. The only one who got blasted by it was the guy doing the welding repair on the front of it.
Oh, because he was
Yes.
at where the camera was. Only
Yeah.
him. Got it.
Yeah.
I thought she said.
I mean, it probably dosed the whole room, but he took the brunt of it.
Yeah.
And she
he's
said
right
she had
there.
tumors. She said she had tumors, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, I think that was just her exaggerating because
Oh, okay.
like you don't get a tumor
Yeah,
that
she did
fast.
mention that. So
She did mention that, but that's not how cancer works. you know, I think she was just over exaggerating.
Yeah.
And again, she's also an
Maybe.
unreliable. She's an unreliable person. She lies to Mark throughout the film, so
Yeah.
it was probably just to guilt trip him, make him feel bad about what he did.
Yeah. But was there anything else, Tyler?
I didn't like. No, that was the only thing.
There's not much to
I
dislike.
think while watching the film, I wish they had explained more. But then afterwards, I thought, no, I kind of liked that they left stuff ambiguous where they did, or they didn't answer things where they did, because, like, to me, it felt more of like the experience. Like, if you're in a submarine in the bottom of the ocean by yourself, the only thing you can talk to is a voice and a speaker, like, you're gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
And he kind of went crazy a little bit. And I think that was the point of like the psychological thing of like, what's real, what isn't. There's this monster messing with my head. Like, it's hard for me to really find anything that I didn't like, because I think it, hit the mark, pun intended, is like what it was trying to do.
It gave you just
Hey,
enough to not
yeah.
make you upset that it's not being explained, but it left enough to where you're like, you're wanting more, you're longing for more. And that's why I think it did a good job. Like I've sat on the movie now for almost 24 hours. we'll have finished we just started the movie yesterday around this time, which is funny. But
Yeah, I guess
almost
you did.
24 hours, and like I'm like even more invested into it than I thought I would be. I honestly, I'm gonna be completely real. I was excited that Markiplier was making this movie, but I thought it was gonna suck. I was
That's
like,
funny.
how do you adapt this into a movie? But he did it. He nailed it.
Yeah,
This is exactly how you faithfully adapt something from a source material, and he had almost nothing to work with. Like, it's impressive.
Yeah.
One of the things I really appreciated was that he turned a silent, for all intents and purposes, a silent game where it's just based on text, and then he created a character
Yeah.
that like you can kind of like root for. You know, that was really
Yeah.
impressive.
Good job.
Yeah, no, it was great. One of my, and we've talked about it a little bit briefly, but yeah, I'm kind of like how you were initially felt about them not fully explaining shit, Tyler. That's how I felt to an
Yeah.
extent. But Justin, you explained it pretty well. You worded it eloquently about how they want you to be interested in learning more. You know, like that they did a good job intriguing me in that sense. But there were some moments I can't go into specifics because it's it's been 24 hours and I I haven't really been able to think about it as much as I would like. But there were just some moments where I wish maybe they gave us a little bit more straightforward like explanations or answers to.
I hope
Personally, but
David Szymanski, I think that's how you say his name. It sounds Polish, Eastern European. I hope
yeah.
that with the success of this film, I don't know if you guys saw the newest thing Mark's doing, but because of the success of the movie, he's going to give everybody involved like a huge sum of the money of the extra
Oh, that's
proceeds.
cool.
So like big
Yeah.
W. Guy's
That's
awesome. The day the movie came out, I'm going to glaze Mark a little bit. The day the movie came out, he went and donated blood at a blood drive in celebration of Iron Lung, which is kind of cool. The guy's just a nice guy. Dude kept crying over the fan sentiment. He's like, "You guys are awesome. Thank you for enjoying my crappy movie." He does cry a lot, but thanks for enjoying my crappy movie. Basically, is what he said. And I honestly hope that this inspires David to maybe explore more in the universe. You know, because I'm sure when he originally made this game, he was not expecting it to be like an indie hit. You know, it was probably just gonna like exist in the quiet back pages of the internet, and that was like probably what he wanted for it. But maybe now he's like, oh, people want more. Maybe he'll make more. You never know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And maybe he can get some guys interested in maybe joining him if he wanted to, because it's obviously his baby. So I wonder what angle he would take it, if he would make it the same game or if he'd explore other genres. Who knows? You could do a lot with this, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, renew interest in Iron Lung. I think that's incredible. A very, very good point on
the
that.
game is more successful now than it was ever. So
yeah,
thanks to this movie.
Thanks to Markiplier. And I'm like you, Justin. I love seeing like success stories like this, especially from like content creators and guys that I like watching. I was never the biggest Markiplier guy, but it's really awesome that he got the rights to make the movie, and he's very passionate about film. So he went out there and he didn't just walk the walk. He he didn't just talk the talk. He walked the walk.
He like messaged him on Twitter, I think was what he has a whole video on it, him talking about it. And he didn't want to like immediately come in and be like, I'm gonna make a movie about your game. Can I please do it? He was like trying to butter him up. He talked about how he was buttering him up. He's like, I gotta be his friend first. And Mark felt kind of guilty. He's like, I'm gonna butter him up just to be like, hey, I want to steal your idea and make a movie out of it. He's like, I don't know how to word this without coming off like a crazy person, but it's so cool like that. He was just such a fan of the game, and like one thing a lot of people don't know, but he's talked about this too, is when he played Iron Lung, he had just worked like an actual other job that he was doing for like 8 to 10 hours, and he was exhausted playing the game. And
he did look very tired in the clip when I was watching it.
That actually adds to his experience. He said the time and place that he played the game, where he was at in his life, like added to all of it. So you can definitely feel that like in the film, that this was such a personal project to him. And
that's so cool.
whether it was successful or not, like he loved this story, and you can tell.
Yeah, he gave it his all, man. He gave it his all. Like I've only ever known him from clips of him being absurd and ridiculous. And Justin, you've explained it to me that that's kind of his like character that he plays on his YouTube channel. But to see him in a more serious light doing a horror indie game, obviously backing it and making it his own venture, but while also staying true. It's pretty incredible. I give him credit for that, man, because like I said, I'm not even the biggest fan. I didn't really watch his content, but I was like, I'm always down to support a content creator, especially if the project is worth supporting. And I think in this case, it very much was.
Yeah.
So,
So
but yeah,
good
hopefully we
job.
see
You did a
more.
good job.
Yeah, hopefully we see more Iron Lung. That'd be sick. I would not be opposed to it. And I want to try to get into the game, but there's just a lot of backlog stuff. There's, obviously a lot of games coming out this year, and then we have our own lives and movies, a lot of stuff going on. But
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot
is it
coming out this year.
yeah, a lot, dude. Oh my gosh. Is there anything else that you guys want to elaborate on before, or think this is a good place to sign off?
Tyler, you gonna play the game?
Well, so I actually have a question. Do you guys think of any other like maybe more indie PC games that you think would be cool adapted if it was to like in the same way that Markiplier adapted Iron Lung?
I don't really like
Dude,
adaptations, so no.
that's 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 a good question. I
I
mean, but you could speculate or not speculate, but Justin, what would you? I mean, I know you're not a fan of it, but what would you want to see done right, hypothetically?
Of indie
Like,
games?
yeah, like what
I
is
guess
one
just in
that
general.
yeah, or just a game in general that you'd like to see adapted if done correctly? Chained Together. No, I'm just kidding.
Chained Together. Oh my god.
I love Chained Together.
Okay, but
And
the cast for that needs to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart.
No,
And
that's just
And
Jumanji
Kevin
with
Hart.
extra steps.
yeah, the whole
Dude,
cast
yeah.
of Jumanji, but chained together, dude. No. Shoot. Honestly,
That could be a good comedy, to be honest. You'd have to come up with something really creative for that, but that would be hilarious, I think. Talking about indie horror.
what is that? That game that already kind of is structured like a film. The Alters is all I can think of.
Oh, that would be cool, dude.
Yeah.
But you'd have to get a really.
That game plays like a TV show anyway.
It does.
So
dude.
it's like
Okay,
it would fit
Tyler,
well translated over.
Since you don't know the game, it's about a guy who has to clone himself in order to keep like a. I don't know if is it a ship or
He gets
space
stranded.
station?
He gets stranded on
Yeah.
a hostile alien planet inside a habitat, and his whole crew dies. This is the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And he has to make an executive decision to use experimental cloning technology on himself to survive. And then that adds like a whole moral aspect of like do the clones even want to be here? Like he brings them into a survival situation.
Whoa.
Like
Okay.
so that
Yeah,
he
and
can live, but now they have to
all the
live
clones-
too. Yeah.
Dude, all the clones have like their own like history, and they
Mhm.
all are like slightly.
They're all
like, they
different
all serve
alterations of
different
himself. Like
Yeah.
it's the main character if he was a doctor, the main character if he was an engineer. Yeah. So they're all different.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tyler Justin gifted that to me for I think either Christmas or my birthday, and I want to get to that. That's another a backlog game that I want to play.
That's
but
something
I
that would
love the
translate
premise.
well to a show, I think, or a movie.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. You would need to get a really charismatic actor for that, though. That'd be
not Pedro
yeah.
Pascal.
not Pedro
even though
Pascal.
he looks like the main character.
He does. That's funny.
Dude, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a good one. Tyler, what's one game that maybe you'd want to see get like adapted
I think if
faithfully?
they did Amnesia right, I think that would
Amnesia,
be a good. Yeah,
dude, that would make money. I
True.
think.
that would be good. I think. I mean, from what I've played, I'm like the whole time I'm like, dude, this as a movie would be crazy if they did it well. But it would probably be like, I don't know.
Don't
It'd
let
probably be
Blumhouse.
dumb.
Don't let Blumhouse get
Yeah, I was
their
gonna
hands
say
on
like
it.
if Blumhouse did it or something, it would probably be garbage.
Dude,
But,
dude, they're gonna put like $10 million and then barely anything happens, and then the acting's awful, and they've just totally
there's gonna
missed
be
the
like
point of
some
it.
random car in there that does no business acting, and then it's
Yeah.
gonna be one of those. Yeah,
Oh my
that's how it
goodness.
would go.
That's funny, and I hate to sound like I'm dunking on Blumhouse, but I've been duped so many times. Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah, no, that'd be great, man. To tell you guys the truth, I have never really played Amnesia. I know I need to now that I'm on PC, but I did play Outlast. I'd love to see Outlast. That'd be kind of cool. Like that's Amnesia
Outlast,
adjacent.
that would be a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that one for sure.
but Chained Together, that was like
I
my
agree with
first
that one.
thought, just because that's
Chained
like an indie
Together
game.
would be
That was the first game I bought when I got back to Steam, was Chained Together, because I saw people playing it. I'm like, this game looks hilarious, and so that was one of the first games I bought on Steam when I got back to it when I got my new PC. So that game is really fun, and if you could come up with something creative for that, I mean, I guess there's not really any lore to it, so you could really just do whatever.
It'd be such
you
a
know?
dumb movie, man.
It'd be so
Yeah.
dumb.
Hey
Oh,
man, if they can make a Minecraft movie, they can make anything.
Don't even talk
I know.
about that movie in my
Oh,
presence.
and what's funny is that what's crazy is that Minecraft, like, realistically, I guess you could make a movie of it, right? But like, that's more of a movie than Chained Together, because at
Yeah.
least there's like some stuff that you could talk about to make a movie or make a story.
Yeah,
But
at least
Chained
there's
Together,
some
there's
kind of
none.
lore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. But
Yeah.
anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode on Iron Lung. Gentlemen, I'm glad we were able to watch it. I'm glad we enjoyed the movie. And if you guys do see the movie, let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Later.
See you later.